Howdy folks, BC here. You're watching Deucing Guns, and today we're going to talk about the 1895 Nagant Revolver. This video is part of a series I'm doing on World War I firearms. Now, one of the inspirations of this series is the fact that the next Battlefield video game is going to be set in World War I. So I'm really looking forward to playing that. And the second reason, the second inspiration for this video series is the fact that I've been watching a lot of the channel called The Great War, which is a weekly update on what was going on exactly 100 years ago during World War I. Now, let's take a look at these revolvers. I've got two of them here. My youngest one was built in 1931. It has a plastic grip on it. We'll take a closer look at this later. But they're all the same model number of 1895. The reason being, they were designed in 1895, which makes this a very old design indeed. And in the holster, I have an older one, older model. It's got the walnut grips. And it was actually built in 1918. So depending on what month this was built, this could have saw at least a few months of service during World War I. Probably not, probably never actually made it to the front line, but it was actually built during or right after wartime, within the same year. Now come on back here and we'll take a closer look. First of all, I'll start out talking about the holster itself. This holster happens to be a World War II vintage, but the World War I vintage holsters were actually the same design, just made out of pure leather. This one has a vinyl coating on it. You flip it over, you have nothing to tie it to your leg, but you do have two belt loops like normal. And on the side, you have a cleaning rod attached with two loops as well. Pull it out there. There we go. Now, the actual cover is held on by one little clasp there. You pull it open, and you have your revolver. Now, attached to the holster here is an ammo pouch right there. Now, if you open up this ammo pouch, we have two rows holding 7 cartridges each, because the actual revolver holds 7 cartridges in each cylinder. And speaking of cartridges, this is what the revolvers shoot. It is 7.62 by 38R. The bullet there is a 30 caliber bullet, and it's embedded way below focus, there we go, way below the actual mouth of the case, and that is to cause a gas seal into the barrel. I'll show you that later. But a 38, which means the 38 millimeter long case, and it is slightly rimmed on the bottom. It's not a huge rim, which actually makes it kind of hard to reload. Well, this whole cartridge is really difficult to reload, but I have done it. It is not impossible, but very impractical. And here's a fired case. You can see the actual primer strike. No bullet left, but you can tell that I guess what you'd call as a neck there is still highly deformed from having a bullet pass through it and it causing a seal against the barrel. And speaking of shooting these cartridges are not powerhouses, to say the least. It is usually less than a 100 grain bullet going at around 1,000 feet per second. So not a powerhouse round at all. Now the close-up of the revolvers. First of all, we'll take a look at my newer one, the one from 1931. And this one has the plastic grips. I'm not sure if the plastic grip was normal for 1931 or if it was factory or if it was from a refurb later on in life. Now as far as functionality goes, these are identical as far as the 2 years go. And they are both double and single action. Now, first of all, we guarantee that they are completely unloaded, but double and single, so you can shoot it single, which is what I highly recommend, or you can shoot it double action as well, where the extremely heavy trigger will pretty much always pull you off target. And I'll talk about that heavy trigger later. Now, to load one, you got a loading gate, just like an old Peacemaker just about, and you go through and you just manually load in. I will put in my fired case here, and you just load that in and do it 6 more times and you're good to go. And now once you fired all 7 of your shots, you need to get that brass out of there. Now sometimes they will fall out, or you can just push them out very easily. But other times they will get stuck in there and you'll have to use the ejection rod. So you drop your loading gate and you have an ejection rod right here, just like an old Peacemaker. You rotate it clockwise to unlock it, you pull it out, and then you rotate the whole assembly over to the point where the rod will go across and then push out the case. Now there's a running joke that you can actually take the cylinder out of the revolver, reload it that way, and then stick it back into the frame faster than you can using the loading gate. And it actually is very quick takedown. You take out the rod there, you rotate it over. So ejection rod's over, and then you have these two little wings here. You can grab that and just push the whole pin, the whole cylinder pin out, and then take down your loading gate, and the whole cylinder comes out. Now, an interesting part of this cylinder is that it has an inner pin that's actually on a spring, and you can actually rotate that and the whole thing comes out. But the reason that is like that is because the whole cylinder has to be able to be pushed forward, yet the cylinder needs to be pressed back into the ratchet and pawl mechanism to rotate it. So it's rotated and then pushed forward, which I will show you now. Now, if you compare this cylinder gap with a normal revolver cylinder gap, you can see that is a freaking huge cylinder gap. And the reason is because that's not actually designed to be there when you actually pull the trigger. So what happens is the whole mechanics in there is quite a bit of clockwork inside this thing, where it rotates a cylinder with half of the action, half the travel of this hammer will rotate the cylinder as far as it needs to go, then the other half pushes it forward. There is no longer a cylinder gap there. Okay, now the next round there is the fired brass case there that I've got ready to be loaded up, and you can see, hopefully you'll be able to see this, as it rotates around, you can kind of see that brass case in there. It rotates around and goes right in. And when you fire it, the brass expands into the barrel and actually forms a complete gas seal from the primer all the way to the exit at the muzzle. Okay, time to test this trigger weight. 11. Nope, we're over. I've got a 10-pound weight with some Romex wire. I'm going to run through the trigger and pull on that. 4.5 pounds, or 4.5 pounds, yeah. So that's 14.5 pound trigger pull. Single action. Okay, to test a double action pull, I have a 5-pound weight and a 10-pound weight. Okay, 8.5 pounds on top of the 15 already on there. So that is 23, yes, 23 pounds, 6 ounces for a Nagant Revolver double action pull. 23 pounds. That is insane. And I've tested this several times off camera, and I am getting right in anywhere between 22 and 25 pounds. Now, is this 100% accurate? Of course not. But it gives you an idea of how freaking heavy these triggers are. Oh, missed the last one. It's always good to get these old girls warmed up on the range, isn't it? Well, guys, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go ahead and subscribe because a lot more is on the way. If you have any comments, questions, or show ideas, leave those in the comment box below the video. And of course, you guys have a great day. See ya.